Today we're going to be building a shoe rack from scratch. So my son had asked me to build him a shoe rack. I've built him a shoe rack once before. Eventually he didn't want it anymore. I used it in my craft room for some storage, ended up getting rid of it probably a couple of months ago, and now he has asked me to build him a new shoe rack. Of course. Anyways, he wanted one that's gonna like match his bedroom furniture that's a little bit different than the one that I had built him previously. So that's what we're doing today. And while I would love to be building this out in my garage or out on my deck in this beautiful 73-degree weather in Pittsburgh, today's video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. So I'm gonna be showing you how you can build a larger scale project utilizing one of their desks. So I went to Home Depot and I picked up a couple of these 2x2 strips of wood, and I got 3 of them. I'm not going to need 3 of them. This is going to be more for like the decorative element and not the functional part of the shoe rack. But the entire pallet was so warped. Everything was bent, twisted, not nice straight pieces of wood. So I picked up 3 of them that had at least a large portion that was straight before it started to curve. I probably only need less than 2 of these. They are 2x2 by 8 feet long. And then I picked up 2 of these 1x12 by 8 foot boards as well. Common board, lowest quality. We don't need anything fancy here. It is also the least expensive. I'm gonna head out to my garage and get these boards all cut down, and then I'll meet you back here to start building. So the shelves themselves are going to be about 3 feet long. So that's where I'm gonna cut down my 1x12s at. We're gonna make a mark at 3 feet and then cut them down. I'm gonna be building 4 shelves here. Now, when I have to make cuts that are the exact same size, I like to take my board, set it directly on top of this next piece, line up these edges, make sure they are nice and flush with each other. I always like to do this facing the other direction. So let me flip this over. So it's out of frame, but I'm gonna make sure the other end over here is completely flush with each other. And then we're gonna drag this over, pull our saw blade down, line them up, and then as soon as my blade hits this other board, that's where we know to stop, and that's where we're gonna make our cut. And it is the exact length you need every time. I love using this method. There we go. Our boards are the exact same length. I got my 4 shelves cut, and then next I need to make 3 1-foot pieces as well. And I can get 2 out of one of these scrap pieces, and then I can use the other scrap piece to get my last one. I also cut down 6 pieces of the 2x2 that are the same height as the small 1x12 section, so they're 1 foot. All right, so now we need to figure out how wide I want this decorative section to be. And yes, I'm kneeling on my garage floor so you guys can see me. But this part is not going to be the full width of the board, where these ones that we cut down earlier, these are they're staying the same width as the board. It is the same board, but this will be on one end. So this will be more of the like structural support. This piece, it's still support, but it's gonna be more decorative. And like I said, not going to come right up to the edge here. So I need to figure out about how wide I want these to be. I was initially thinking that they would be 8 inches, so it would be 8 inches wide. This is a 12-inch board, so that it would leave a little bit of space on either end. So I kind of like where I have it set up right now. I'm just gonna quickly measure and see what that is. Let's speed this part up a bit. I got all the pieces cut down. The short side of the 2x2 ended up being 6 inches long. And then sanded everything down with a 120 and then a 220 grit sandpaper. This part took forever, and I'm sure you don't want to watch me sand for the next 5 minutes. To make these boards a little bit less hard on the edges, I got out my Dremel tool with a round-over bit attachment, which took the sharp corner off the board and rounded them. This is a small detail, but helps make a woodworking project look a little bit less handmade and DIY.
How come the stars come to shine when it's dark? From so far away, show us where we are. What makes the
Here are all of the pieces cut, sanded, and rounded.
And what's it dreaming of?
We are back inside. I got all of my wood cut. It is no longer daylight. It is completely dark outside. It is almost 9 o'clock at night now. I didn't really start this until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it took me all of that time to get all of these pieces cut and sanded. I did stop to eat dinner. But now we need to start gluing everything together. So I'm going to start gluing the decorative little frame piece, and this is what it's going to look like. I did one already. It's going to be kind of like a little rectangle. So I need to make 2 more of these, and then I need to start adding some pocket holes to join the 1x12s together. So that's what we're going to do next. Definitely not getting this finished tonight. I will probably come back to this, I don't know about tomorrow, but probably in a couple of days. Anyways, let's do what we can tonight. This part is super simple. All I'm doing is taking 2 of the longer pieces, 2 of the shorter pieces, and we're just going to glue them right in the middle. I didn't do any type of fancy cuts here. I am really sticking to my inspiration piece and trying to make it look as close to that as possible. And that is what they did. They did not have any 45-degree angle cuts on any of this shelf. This wood glue dispenser is amazing. I love it. It is linked in my description box. I get it from Amazon. I've had people ask me where I get it from, and it is absolutely amazing.
How come the sky sometimes hides behind the clouds? Maybe it's just like me, a little bit scared of heights. Why does the rain?
Now we need to make some pocket holes. So each of these smaller boards is going to get 4 pocket holes. So it's going to get 2 on one end, 2 on another end. That way we can attach the shelves together to it and have more of those hidden screws. So we're going to attach 2 here, and then there's going to be another shelf here. We're going to attach the other 2 that way. And that's going to make this thing really sturdy. And I have a Craig pocket hole system. Super easy. I love this thing. We can do it right here. It's going to make a little bit of a mess, but I don't feel like going back out in the garage. Getting serious now. Got the paint shirt on, hair up, gloves out. We are going to stain the wood now. I want to stain it before I put the rest of the pieces together. I'm going to stain this wood. I'm going to paint our other little pieces once they dry, probably tomorrow. And then we can assemble everything and get it put together. So the color that I'm using today is dark walnut. I built Mason a floating bed frame. That's not something that I recorded a video of, but I built him a floating bed frame. We put some LED lights under it and we stained it dark walnut. So this is going to match his bedroom nicely. I painted the decorative rectangle in the color Dark Secret by Behr. This is the same color I painted my faux mantle fireplace a few months ago, and I love it. Then I added 2 coats of polyacrylic to all of the pieces, sanding in between with a 220 grit paper. I know I mentioned this in all of my woodworking videos, but I like to use a natural bristle brush when applying poly. I think it leaves a really nice finish, and poly is self-leveling as long as you don't overwork it, so you don't end up seeing those brush strokes at all.
I apply a layer of the polyacrylic to the entire side, and then I go back over the whole thing to make sure there are no bubbles and I have an even layer. You don't want to go over it more than that. Once it starts to dry, the self-leveling properties will no longer work and you'll see those brush strokes. It will end up looking more milky instead of clear.
All right, you guys, it is about a week later. I knew I wasn't gonna get this thing finished, and then I had to go to work for the week. So we are back at it, trying to get this thing finished up today. All we gotta do is put it together. There is gonna be a little bit of wood glue dry time for those little black parts. But I wanted to show you, like, this is kind of how it's going to be laid out each shelf. And then there's gonna be another shelf this way, and these two sides are gonna be opposite. So then it's gonna go up over here and then a black little piece on this side. So it's gonna like kind of stagger a little bit. Putting this together, that's where our lovely flexi spot standing desk that's easily raised and lower is going to come in really handy, because as we start stacking and building, I can just lower my desk and it's gonna stay at that same working height that's comfortable for me, which is amazing, especially because today, now this weekend, it is really cold outside and raining, so definitely helps to have this desk and I can build right in my craft room. I'm gonna be using my 1.5-inch Kreg screws here to go into the pocket holes that we drilled on these little side pieces. So I'm gonna have my pocket hole screws. This is my one piece of wood that I didn't realize this as I was cutting it. It's kind of cupped a little bit. We're gonna put this guy on the bottom so he's a little bit less noticeable. You can see it kind of goes in a little bit in the center and then comes back out to meet the ends. So this piece of wood is just kind of curved a little bit. Before I tighten anything, I want to make sure he is not poking out the bottom anywhere. I think we are good. I'm not going to tighten this all the way just yet. We're going to do the other side. So then I want to take my side piece and we need to figure out where exactly this is going to sit.
When adding the black rectangles, I placed them about 1 3/4 inches in from the edge, and then there was about 3/4 of an inch on either side. Then I used my wood glue on one end, spread it out with a brush, and then clamped it down in place to dry.
I don't want too much wood glue. This one is fine. Just a finished piece.
After I clamped the piece down, I wiped up any of the glue that was seeping out. I actually recently learned you want there to be enough wood glue on so that it seeps out. This ensures you have a good suction and bond with the wood. I repeated this for 3 of the shelves.
The glue has dried on our side piece here, so we can assemble this thing and get it put in my son's room. And this is where it's gonna come in real handy to have this standing desk that can be raised and lowered at the touch of a button, because I cannot reach very tall. I'm very short. So this is gonna be so perfect. Which way does this go? This way, right? Yes, losing my mind slightly. Okay, that goes flush over here on this end. Those are in, and then we need to put the next level up, which I'm gonna have to, actually I might have to lower it for this guy. I think I should flip it over. So I'm drilling down instead of trying to reach under and drill up. Better idea. Now I'm gonna lower so that we can get the next one up. think we gotta go all the way down here. Okay. We're as low as we go. Oh, I need to also glue, wood glue this side. So this will be perfect because I have one more layer and then I'll be able to reach it. Love this.
Before we finish this build, I wanted to share a little bit more about FlexiSpot. In my craft room, I have the E7 series standing desk and I love it for crafting. However, you can use these desks in other areas of your home and life as well. If you like to stand while working, this would be a great home office setup. Or if you're a serious gamer like my son, this desk is perfect for a PC gaming system. FlexiSpot offers tons of accessories as well to streamline your space, like this adjustable dual monitor arm, cable management systems, desktop multi-outlet power strip, and under-desk drawers, just to name a few. Having the flexibility to stand or sit while crafting or working is a game changer for me, and if you're interested in a desk for yourself or a loved one, check out the link in my description box for more info. I added wood glue again where the black piece meets the shelf, but I'm not able to clamp it down again to dry, so I added some paint cans on the shelf for some weight to keep it in place. Then I added the third section.
Wasn't enough. Since I'm so short, I do need a bit of a stool to get up here, but put the top on. I'm so excited for this, you guys. So excited, you guys. All right, let's let this thing set up and dry overnight. I'm gonna glue this side, let it set. I almost forgot I bought feet to add to the bottom of this. Now the inspo piece did not have feet, but I wanted to add some. I found these at Home Depot as well and painted them with the same black as the open rectangle sides. The next day, as I was sliding the shelf into the hall, I decided I wanted to reinforce the black rectangles a little. It felt like that wood glue would separate if I pushed it a little bit too hard. That's because I didn't glue raw wood together. It was already painted and sealed. So I took a spade bit to notch out a small hole. That way I can add a screw and you're not going to see it. I did this on the underneath so you don't see it from the top looking down or straight on at all. This added security makes me feel much better in case my son decides to rearrange his room. I don't have to worry about it falling apart on him. Then I just needed to add on the feet. This part was easy. I placed one foot down where I thought it looked good. Then I pushed down on it so the screw top would indent the wood. Then I measured where that was and made sure it was even. So it was 1 3/4 of an inch in from both edges. Next I took a piece of masking tape and taped off my drill bit so I knew how far down to drill. Then I made the hole, added some wood glue to the foot, and screwed it into place. Of all the woodworking projects I've done on this channel, I think this one is one of the easiest. Since there was no angle cuts, that made it pretty simple. If you've been intimidated by building your own furniture, give this project a try. I believe in you. This turned out beautifully and I saved over $800 making it myself. So let's see how it looks in its final location.